All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Talking Investing. Special emergency meeting here with Tom. Hello. Also George. Hello, George.
Hello, Tom. Today has been interesting. I am not George. I am an IA.
Well, I wish
Oh,
you
wait,
would have
AI.
given me some kind of heads up, like somewhere around here, if you're AI, as to what
Ha,
was coming
ha,
next.
ha. I
This,
think it was a fun day.
well, I did not think it was a fun day.
Tell me why, Tom. Tell
This,
me why.
They put us through the ringer today. For those of you who didn't notice, and we'll see what you guys let us know what you thought of the day today. First of all, let me do my normal. If you guys could please do us a favor and smash the like button on this, what I consider to be, in my opinion, one of the most brutal days in a long time. And I know maybe we're getting too used to, all good things lately. But this was just the massive pullback, right? So another good day for Bitcoin, really. If we take a step back, ultimately we'll look back, and this was another great day for Bitcoin, but it was a wild ride. And the Bitcoin miners, as Bitcoin is, breaking records here, they are just taking the Bitcoin miners out to the woodshed, and this is brutal. So, if you
I mean, if you got in at the right time, it's just whatever. You know what I mean?
it, upon reflection, a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, we'll probably all forget this day even happened. And so that is one of the big reasons, that I wanted to come on today. George was really like, let's do this thing. And he's right. I had a super busy day. I was very, very sidetracked. So I didn't think I was going to have time, but we just said the other day, which was a great day. It's nice to spend the great days together, but you know what? These days, I think, are even more important. For those of you who had any of the feelings that I was having today, I do think it's important to have kind of like debriefing when this is all done with, and talk amongst ourselves, because they stuck it to us pretty good today, in my opinion. And as the day went on, it just kept getting worse. There were a few fake outs in the middle. Man, I stopped looking at my account. I'm way up, I'm way down, I'm way up, I'm way down. And like, I got to put this thing down. And then, the Bitcoin miners are all green. They're all red. They're all green. They're all red. Oh, they're even more red. It's getting worse. Bitcoin's going up. What's going on? It was pandemonium. And in the end, we see many of the Bitcoin miners down double digits on a day where Bitcoin, after 3 years, Bitcoin breaks 60,000 and the Bitcoin miners tank. And really, this all started at 9:30 Eastern time yesterday morning, simultaneous with the market opening. Pre-market yesterday, all the Bitcoin miners were through the roof. Well, they rug pulled us yesterday, and then they piled on today. And if we look at the Bitcoin 1-day chart, I'll switch over, you'll see this is day 3 of just gigantic green candles. Now, granted, we had a massive pullback. We did get up to, on my chart, I showed us getting up to $64,100. George will talk to you, and I did just see a video on this, George. You want to talk about what happened here at this in this moment in time? And I'll kind of zoom in to just...
So I just got a little heated today, and people got a little scared. And so, turn it off. Take it down, turn it off. Too many retail people are getting in. Turn it off. What? What do you mean? I'm just going to be very vague on what I say. Turn it off.
Well,
That's all I'm saying. Turn it off.
Let's just say this. Coinbase was down.
Turn it off.
I did see that verified.
I can't even imagine the phone call. Do you guys remember when I talked about last Friday, talking about Bob buying at 5 o'clock? Bob didn't buy at 5 o'clock. He waited for the weekend to happen, and Bob bought on Monday morning.
I mean, we've had a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here.
This has been parabolic the last 3 days.
Yeah, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, from the bottom Monday morning, you'll go from the open Monday morning. We won't even go from the bottom until the peak of today. That's almost 24% in 3 days. Now we pulled back and it's about 16 or closer to 17% move in 3 days.
Ouch.
But that's a gigantic move. We crossed some crucial lines. It would appear, although I don't want to speak too soon, there's a few hours left. We stand a good chance of closing a daily candle above 60,000 now. I mean, we were just, not too long ago trying to get to 50.
They just released the information on Marathon, right? Revenue increased 229% to a record $388 million in 2024. Adjusted EBITDA, $419 million in 2023. The Bitcoin production increased 210%.
So
to a record 12,852 Bitcoins in 2023. So what does that mean?
What does that mean? What's it all mean?
It's tanking after hours.
What did they? We'll look at that together. Let's see what other notes. There's a couple things I'm looking for. First, I want to get to a couple of super chats. Julie, thanks for the super chat. Tom, please do a video on any Sphere 3D. I'm going to have to check and see if I did a members only video on any. I will tell you there's very, very little retail interest in any. I might have done a members only video. I'm not sure. I will take a look and that might be one. I'm starting to get worried about a handful of these Bitcoin miners. Well, I won't say starting. I've been saying for a year now, I think there's going to be winners and losers. And I think the smaller that you are at this point, the more you may get punished over the next, short to medium period of time. That doesn't mean, long term, I'm not sure. Kevin K, thanks for the super chat. Kevin K said, this is why, and thanks for being a member. This is why I own straight Bitcoin and not all in on the miners, because Bitcoin is not the same as the stock market. Tom, George, much respect. Care for you both. Thank you so much, Kevin K. And that is a very good point. Having, diversification, a hybrid approach, having some of the cryptocurrency, having some of the Bitcoin miners. My position in I think I'm the last person left. I'm in BitX, and I'll tell you, that saved my whole day today. So, because that's a 2x, that's a futures ETF. It's a 2x leveraged on Bitcoin. And, that was through the roof today. So as all my other largest positions were getting beat up, that was kind of sitting on the other side, holding up my portfolio today. So that, to your point, I think that's crucial. And I do think everything, I think they're all, I won't say all. I think the Bitcoin miners that, succeed and that are going to be the winners, the ones we talk about the most, I think that they're going to all end up in the same place. There's lots of room to the upside from here. But at the moment and on any given day, we can see the Bitcoin miners do not follow on a day-to-day basis. Anything can happen. So, we have these days where a couple of days in a row where Bitcoin, great days, the Bitcoin miners, just beat up.
It's just a game, guys. Unfortunately, it's hard to take our emotions out of this. And trust me, it pisses me off when you're making a swing and you're up and then all of a sudden you're down and it hurts. But I think we're still in a good position. Think about this. Marathon right now just crossed $27.76 after hours when their balance sheet just improved by 20-some%.
Are they down that much after hours? I got
11% right now.
Are you kidding me? Is that going on across the board, or is that a marathon thing?
That's a marathon thing because of earnings.
Yeah, but there should be is there a surprise in there? I mean, obviously I'm doing this live with you guys, so I haven't gone through this. Is there a
People
surprise?
panic. People panic. You know that.
This is
I'm getting ready.
madness.
Just so you know, I'm getting ready to get in. I'm getting ready to just pack it back up and
Well,
time to back up the bus.
the other way to look at this is, that they're down 10%. Join the club. Riot was down 7%. CleanSpark 13.5%. Bitfarms just under 11%. TerraWolf down just under 9%. Iris Energy over 10%. So this kind of that evens them out on the day with everybody else. Core Scientific, let's see what they're doing after hours. They were really the only other one that's green, except for those of you. Let's do a quick poll. Who's in MicroStrategy? Want me to do that one, George?
Yeah, I'm not on the thing.
Oh,
I think if I'm hoping it gets down 15%, just so you know. Be an awesome time to buy. I have my number that I've picked on Marathon, and it's $82.15. By the way,
that's your exit
came up
strategy.
with a number. It's my number.
So I will tell you, I'm not invested in MicroStrategy. I had a trade, and it's probably 6 months ago now. So it was a really good time. MicroStrategy made an awesome run. So it was a good. I do very few swing trades like this, but I did get out of that one. But this week, MicroStrategy has destroyed the Bitcoin miners. It's up a 10% again today. It had a similar day. Let's look at the chart. I mean, let's go to the 1 day and pull up MicroStrategy real quick. I know a lot of you aren't necessarily in this, but
look at that. Man, that's beautiful.
It does surprise me that this is doing. I mean, look at these 3 days for MicroStrategy. I mean, look at the gigantic gaps up. While the Bitcoin miners are getting destroyed, MicroStrategy's up 40% this week. So congratulate to the 20-something% of you that are in this. You're killing it. So, this has been mirroring my position in BitX. I'll just show you guys because it seems like nobody is in this. It's not. Go ahead, George.
As you talk, Tom, if you guys are new here, do us a favor and hit the subscribe. First of all, if you don't like our content, you'll love my humor. Number 2 is we're just trying to get to 20,000. We're just trying to break 20,000.
I know
You know what? We were neck and neck with Bitcoin for a long time, and then Bitcoin took off and made it to 60, and we're still stuck at 19.
That's right. Yeah. So if you enjoy the content, if you like Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners, if you like talking about that stuff, and we try to jump on like today. I mean, this was absolute last second. This is our second, impromptu live stream this week because a lot's going on. We had a really great day. We got together and talked about it. This is not a great day, but we're talking about it. So BitX is up 37% in these 3 days. So you can see this does effectively give you your 2x leverage on Bitcoin. And, for me, this was kind of the counterweight to all of my mining positions that got wrecked today. And the rest of my other stuff did very little. I didn't have a big mover on the day today outside of this space. And you can see at one point, I mean, at the peak, this was up almost 54% in 3 days from the peak today. It did, we did finish way off of our highs. We got to almost $65,000 today. And then we pulled back. I want to go to those. Let's go back to those candles. This was from the top to the bottom. These are 15-minute candles. So this is 30 minutes or less. $5,785 Bitcoin dropped in less than a half hour. Now, it had a huge run up going into that, but I mean, that was a dramatic sell off, 9% in, if I was doing 30-minute candles, which I'll do right now, this will all consolidate into just, it crossed over the 30 minutes, but you can see on the 15-minute time frame, this was just a total of 30 minutes from the top to the bottom, and it was even less than that. So big pullback, and it was in that time that Coinbase shut down, and of course they'll say, well, we were overwhelmed or whatever the case may be, and you can make of it whatever you will. But so the question is this, this was a big run up today. So this goes one of two ways. Is this kind of foreshadowing? Did this run out ahead, letting us know, what's next? Or, is this a little bit of a peak and now all of a sudden it's time for one of our standard issue cryptocurrency Bitcoin 20% pullbacks over the next few days or weeks? And these happen quickly. So, I
don't know why. My only question would be at this point in time, why? Why would it come back 20%?
That's a fair question, and I'm going to show a chart.
I mean, please show me. I'm like,
well, it supports what you're saying. I don't.
I'm a bull right now, dude. I am such a bull. It's not even funny. By the way, none of this is financial advice. Make your own decisions. It's your money. Don't yell at me if you lose any. But I will tell you, the members are very happy that they became members, Tom, because we're crushing it.
We have been crushing it today, notwithstanding. Although for those of you in the underlying asset itself, Bitcoin or one of the Bitcoin ETFs, Cleanspark to 100, thanks for the super chat. Cleanspark to 100 said, even with Bitcoin at 60K, we're not getting paid the risk to own the miners. BitX and MicroStrategy outperforming the miners year to date. You are 100% correct, and I'm going to show you that chart too. The only thing I will say is we are starting to have, we had 14 weeks in the middle of 2023, a year where the Bitcoin miners were up. I'll show you that chart. The majority of the Bitcoin miners that we follow were up 400, 500, 600% on the year last year. Even inside of that, though, there was this 14-week window, and that's a long time. As you guys know, in cryptocurrency, that's an eternity. 14 weeks? Like, we get rambunctious if 1 or 2 days get strung in a row together that don't go our way in cryptocurrency. The world moves very fast. Cryptocurrency moves even faster. So, 14 weeks, that washed a lot of people out of this space, which is the exact intention. And I would submit to you that yesterday and today, with the Bitcoin miners in specific, it's just clear to me they are trying to, wring out the weaker hands and flush everybody out, and they will take. This is how large institutions
win.
Right. This is how they win. This is how they take their stock away from us. This is how they take our cryptocurrency away from us. And it's hard.
Well, let's think. Let's give you a little example at noon today. Bring. Who's this? It's Bob. Me over at that BR place. Hopefully you know what BR stands for, guys. This is Coinbase. How can I help you? No, you can't say it. Don't take us down already. Yeah, what's up, Bob? Bob, listen, I did not build out my position yet in freaking Bitcoin. Somebody needs to do something and spook the shit out of these guys. So we get the retail guys out. Yeah, Bob, what do you want me to do? Close it down, make their balance zero, and scare the shit out of them.
Stop the runaway freight train.
Stop the runaway. I'm telling you, this today gave me more confidence than ever before, Tom. And then, bam. Well, we're going to attack them on, Marathon. Let's attack them on any of the holdings. But I will tell you one thing.
Gotten a little better, but still down 8% after hours. I'm just going to, the only other one that was green today was Core Scientific. Let's see if that's holding up.
If you guys are in this space, Tom and I have in about a month, if you think about a month time, we're going to do that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Reports. So in about a month from now, you're going to want to subscribe to this channel today because of what we have coming out. I would recommend the members are going to get it first, and then we're going to give it to everybody else. But we have information coming out. All these guys are not the same, guys. Somebody did, and I'm not picking on anybody. I love everybody that's on YouTube that's talking about Bitcoin miners. But somebody came up with this little analogy of how to determine if it's a good investment or not to go into Bitcoin miners. And that analogy was based on stock price and based on exahash. And I'm sorry, but there's a lot more involved in these Bitcoin miners than just those two things. And you're going to get screwed, blued, and tattooed if that's the analogy you're using. Sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
And it goes to the point, no one indicator, no one data point, no one
right.
technical analysis. If you're relying on one thing or something you heard somebody say, whether it be on TikTok or YouTube or whatever the case may be, and that includes us, right? You
Right.
will find out. I mean, for what we talk about, we also post. I mean, I do very deep dives on the Bitcoin miners, so you can check out the channel. And again, that's just my due diligence. You can that can be a part of what leads you guys to your due diligence, but the core thing that we try to drive here on this channel is it makes no difference how much I believe in Bitcoin or any particular Bitcoin miner. If you don't believe it yourself, if you don't understand and this is for any stock you hold, if you don't understand your investment, if you don't have an plan, an entry strategy, an exit strategy, anticipating good things, bad things. If you can't put your head on your pillow at night, then you're going to get flushed out on days like today. And invariably that means you're going to end up buying high, selling low. And we try to do everything we possibly can to give people, a jumping off point, a starting point, as we look at so many different charts, graphs. A lot of them are out there that we compile. A lot of them I make myself. We have a massive amount of information we try to give people to, help people, figure out what. And everybody, there's not just one miner. It's not like, oh, this one's the winner. So there's a lot of different ways to do this.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
Right. And there's a lot of moving parts and things change in real time. So, I haven't read, for instance, we just got some information.
And I'm gonna say something just because I've been reading the comments and Kay, maybe you're right. Maybe you guys will have it a little bit quicker. But like I just want to say something. Like King Gerald said, crash is coming. What the F does that mean, King Gerald? Crash is coming. Does that mean 25 minutes from now? 4 days from now, 30 days from now? It's just such BS. I'm sick and tired of that BS. Tell me freaking what you know so you can share it with everybody else. And don't do FUD. Sorry, I get passionate about this stuff. We are here to make money, guys. And I will tell you what I've done. And I'm big in the marathon. And you know what? For a year, I hated him.
Well,
I know he's a troll. I know he's a troll. Trust me.
To your point, George, that's the part about, things are fluid and things change, and you gotta, not only do your due diligence, but update your due diligence, because there was a big difference between marathon in 2022 and marathon in 2023. And on this channel, we did a deep dive on marathon, I think every single month for the last couple of years. And in 2022, they're not mean, they're not kind. A lot of, depending on, oh, you hate marathon, you love marathon. No, we just try to dig deep and give you guys all the information. So, if there's a month where they did poorly, that's not, that doesn't mean George and I are being mean. That they just did poorly. And that's what 2022 looked like. 2023 was a very different situation. I'm very bullish on marathon long term. Obviously, after hours today, they're having a pullback. I haven't read this report. Let me just get to a couple of Ryan, thank you very much for the super chat. Solana news, why is it running? George, maybe you can take that one. And then, but first, let me just get to Crypto Fever also. So, Ryan, again, thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Crypto Fever, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for being a member. 60 to 70K before the halving achieved. No one believed it was possible back at 38K when I made the call. Next target I see is 70 to 80K before the halving. All previous cycle theories will be destroyed in this bull run. So I can verify Crypto Fever's been a member for a long time. He's very active in our members only Discord as well. And he has been calling this. He's been screaming it, from as loud as he can. And we've been talking about this on the live streams, the public live streams, on the members only live streams, and I think particularly among the members, we've been getting more and more consensus that, we've been getting more and more bullish that we're going to take out the all-time high prior to the halving, which has never happened before. By the way, we've never been anywhere near as close as we were before this week started, and we've had 3 gigantic days up this week. So this cycle is crushing previous cycles. Now, past performance is not a blah, 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 blah. We don't know what's next. We don't know the future, but it does. We are way out ahead of things right now. And I just think there's a series of catalysts ahead. George asked what reason is there going to be a 20% pullback? The only reason
I
that
want to know. I want to know.
That there's the reasons that I can give, I think, are not extremely valid, and I'll give you some. Like, for instance, I just switched over to the 1 day. So thanks again, Crypto Fever, for the super chat and for the call, and 70,000 to 80,000 before the halving. I love it. That's even more bullish than I've been. I thought, we would get to 60. I thought we stood a shot at the all-time high, but man, if we can get to 70 or 80, and I think that's on the table. We just keep going up, and I'll go to a chart in a minute, to argue the other side. For the moment, I'll do a little bit of, counterpoint here. If you look at some technical analysis, and sometimes technical analysis just goes out the window because there's other forces at work, there's all different types of external forces that can, nullify these indicators. And that's why we always say, don't just look at one thing. Like, if you're a person that looks at the daily RSI, you'd go, well, we're at 80, just under 86. We're way overbought. If you don't know what this means, it's the relative strength index. Without getting too complicated, essentially, when the number gets high, for most things, over 70 is considered overbought and due for a pullback. In my mind, and I think in a lot of people's mind, that number is more like 80 in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency world. But we're even way over that. So, so this technical data point would say, it seems like we're due for a pullback. Conversely, if you look at the daily MACD, we just had a bullish crossover, right? We had a bearish crossover a week ago. It did not last, almost instantly reversed, and that's a bullish sign. So you're getting mixed signals. If we go, let me go to the fear and greed index. This would be the biggest reason by far. 82, which we hit today, is the new record. 79 was the previous record. We've only been maybe 5 days in total in extreme greed. So, but the other thing is, if you look at previous bull runs, we can stay in extreme greed for weeks, sometimes, 4, 5, 6 weeks when things start going. So, yes, ultimately, does this extreme greed eventually lead to a pullback? Yeah, but is it next? To Crypto Fever's point, maybe we're going to run up to 80 before we have our 20-25% pullback. So,
Well, I think today, I think it was kind of manufactured by the pullback. But listen, we're not even talking about banks, and we're not even talking about the lack of liquidity in banks. And it's a real problem, guys. I don't try to spread fear, first of all. I try to spread facts. And the facts are they changed the requirement at 2020 for the amount of cash that they had to hold. So if you put in, $100, they used to have to hold $10, I believe, was the equation. But they changed that. They lowered that. I think it to almost zero. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom.
Are you saying you're worried about a run on some of these
worried
mid-sized
about-
regional banks in the U.S.?
Yes, I'm worried about that because they're trying to change back to the old way. And what's his name? Diamond just said he couldn't do. Look we can't do that, and that's a problem. And guess what? That's a good reason to own Bitcoin. We haven't even got to where Bitcoin was designed to go. If you guys really want to understand Bitcoin and really get into it, and trust me, I'm late to this game. All you guys have helped me get there. And I've read so much about understanding Bitcoin now. Bitcoin was designed to go to a lot bigger than where it currently is. I'm not saying it's going to tomorrow, but over the period of time, it is going to get bigger. and that's because of the Satoshis. And so if you have a Bitcoin, that's what's so amazing, because you're controlling 100 million Satoshis. And that's where Bitcoin really starts to get interesting. And I think the reason why I'm even more bullish now on Bitcoin is because why would they start that ETF, and why would they want that? And when I say them, it's because the people that have money know that that's going to be controlling, I believe, part of the economy at some point in time.
Right. We'll take a look at the market cap of Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency universe. It's on the rise in a big way. I will tell you, I remember we talked about this. A lot of you might not remember this, but I was frustrated with it. There was a big period of time, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, where a lot of big YouTubers were talking about the fact that cryptocurrency is a zero-sum game, and it's a fluctuation between Bitcoin and the altcoins. And, that is just empirically false. And, since then, we've added like $700 billion to the overall market cap of cryptocurrency. And, that's the kind of, there's so much FUD. There's another person that I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube. I try to, but I'm trying to watch the people with bigger channels just to hear what everybody else is hearing, so that, we know what to respond to and what to talk about. And so many people, there's one person that's had a channel, and, every day for like 3 months, oh, we're going to retest 30,000. We're going to retest 30,000. And then that person had the gall when we took off to say, see, I told you we'd be taking off, and it's like, no, you didn't. You just did 20 videos in a row saying Bitcoin 30,000. So
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. Just Ronald, do me a favor, and I am not picking on you. You told me this. You said just sold Marathon. Can you tell me why? And I want to know, are you just buying it to reposition at a lower percentage? Or are you buying it because you think that the fundamentals have changed to Marathon, so you need to get out? I just want to know why. You wrote down just sold Marathon. Remember that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's listen. We like to hear people's thoughts, and that's a part
Yeah.
of being on here. That's what we try to do, and we have, for those of you who are new, we have an awesome. I know we're small, but you know what? We have an awesome community here. We have a lot of people that have been with us for years. For those of you who don't know and are new, we've been doing this for 3+ years. We've made like
3+,
1,500 videos. We have a lot of recurring subscribers and members, and we have a great community. So
Right. Oh, it's awesome.
that's
Great people, well diverse in investing and understanding miners, Bitcoin miners, and what to do with it. But the reason Tom and I started this channel was to help people weather this storm, because this has been a storm. And guess what? I think people think we're starting to peak, go to the top of the mountain right now, and we're starting to look down. I don't believe that. I believe we're at the top of a mountain, and there's a bigger mountain ahead. Sorry. And listen, if you guys, there's 636 people watching. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs down if you don't like it, or the thumbs up if you do like it. I don't care. Pick which way, just let it rip. Sorry, go on.
speak your mind.
Yes, and it costs you nothing to do it.
AG, who has been a member and has been for a while, said, I'm 88% up because of Tom and George with my mortgage paid. Thank you for that shout out. And AG, I would add to that, really, we're glad to help and be a part of it, but you have to thank yourself as well. And we always tell people, all you guys here know how hard this is to get through
this is hard.
these down times. So yes, we all share it together, and I think it does help, and that's why we came on today. This is not a fun day. This was not a day where, this was rough. I really did have a rough day today. I feel I'm not a machine. I feel these days, and when Bitcoin's going up,
when it doesn't make sense. It hurts.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. I could even have more withstood just an overall pullback, and Bitcoin's down, the miners are down. Okay, we're overdue for a pullback, but this opposite direction thing was, it's meant to be brutal. This is what they do. You know, I hate to say they, like this is not a conspiracy. There's gigantic hedge funds, institutional money, algorithms, all these things are set up for
billions of dollars.
Right. There's
guys, listen, there's people right now on our chat from hedge funds telling you like that guy, right? I'm not trying to be an idiot. Tell me about the crash. Tell me what type of crash it's going to be. I want to know. I listen. But I will tell you, I can't. Should I tell him about the wedding? No, I don't know if I can do this.
Oh,
I'm gonna
wait
get in
for
trouble, guys. If we break 1,000, I got a story that you guys won't believe. You'll be like, you're an idiot, George. But the story is a real story, and it makes sense. Everything lines up accordingly.
I see
it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact that this happened. It's not like, no, that didn't happen. No, it really happened. And that's what's so crazy about this, because if you guys were here Friday of last week, we were talking about what was going on, and I was screaming because it just didn't make sense. We were all talking about it in the stream, and we were talking about, why is the price of Bitcoin not moving? What is going on? And they were able to suppress it for almost 2 weeks.
And I'm going to go to the 1 day and just kind of show you. Let me get rid of all this nonsense.
We just went back above 61,000 again with Bitcoin, guys. So please hit if you like this type of content. I'm usually calm and collect, guys, just so you know. I try to be, but really I'm not. I'm really a loud, obnoxious person. I was gonna be BitBoy's brother, but that kind of took a toll but I said I'd fight him, but he wouldn't let me fight him.
So this is the period you're talking about, I think, George. For this, This was from basically December 4th until February 6th. So that is 2 months. And, you could actually even tighten this up to really, from a candle closing standpoint, we had, and we've gone through this, we had one little period. This is when the Bitcoin ETFs were approved. On this day right here, we jumped up to what seemed like to the moon. We got to $49,000. It seemed like, wow, this was like Bitcoin off to the races. And then, of course, we had a big pullback. So we jumped outside of this box to the upside for only a few days, and then to the downside for a few days. But other than that, for 2 full months, we traded basically between $41,000 and $44,000. It was just sideways, sideways, sideways. We got a big pump up, and then, we had this situation right here. And this, George, is where you were really wondering why the stall out right here with the amount of money going. Go ahead.
It wasn't the stall out. It's not the stall out. You see the swings in Bitcoin now. You see how much it's moved. Tell me why Bitcoin stayed the same for that long period of time.
Right.
This is this type of stuff I expect to see. This is normal to me.
Volatility. Right. There was the volatility disappeared for a little bit of time. And we're going to go to the Bitcoin ETFs and take a look, because in that period of time, there was massive purchasing and inflows. I did miss, that reminds me. Thank you for the super chat. Ryan, who said 1,100 Bitcoin were bought today and 900 Bitcoin were mined. So and there's a lot of days where it's dramatically, there have been many days in the last month and a half where the amount of Bitcoin taken out was 10 times the amount of the, roughly 900 on any given day. It's not always exactly 900, but roughly 900 a day. And by the way, we're a month and a half away from that becoming 450 new Bitcoin a day after the halving. So, more supply shock to come.
Do you think the price is going to go up after? I don't know. Maybe less is going to be on the market. I'll tell you that.
We have somebody
and more money's gonna flow in. We broke 700, Tom. Guys,
nice. Thank you, everybody.
I have a good story. If we get to over 1,000 people watching, it's a great story.
You can help us get there by smashing the like button.
It's one of those stories that you're going to think that can't be true, and then you can go look it up.
George has good stories.
It's a real story. It's really interesting. Nothing happens by accident.
We appreciate everybody who smashed the like button. Everybody who's here, of course, we appreciate you all. Members, subscribers, people who are new. Thanks so much for being here. And, hopefully let's take a look at the poll first of all. Bitcoin's target at the halving. So the choices were under 60,000. So we're above that right now. So are we actually going to pull back 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 or more? So in first place is 70,000, which would be a new all-time high. And we have never gotten to a new all-time high before the halving. So I agree with you guys. 41% say 70,000, 34% in second place say 80,000 or more. So that's, the better part of around 75%, between 73 and 75% of people think we're going to be between 70,000 or 80,000 or even more. 12% at 60,000, 15% under 60,000. So
TP, if you remember, you would have a really good story right now about covered calls on Marathon, by the way. You would be like, oh shit. But the good story ended. I went down about $1.30, $1.40, and ended up only losing 5K. Great story though. It was interesting. You gotta, you can't get scared on these things when you do covered calls.
Oh, that's right. That was in our members only stream. We talked about that journey yesterday, right?
Nope. Can you believe all these people are watching, Tom, and nobody wants to become a member?
Oh yeah, if you're interested, we do have probably the cheapest member in the universe. It's $5. Right next to the subscribe button, there should be
not even a cup of coffee anymore.
Yeah, you'd be good, hard pressed to get a cup of coffee. There should be a join button. If not, you can go to any one of our videos, and in the pinned comment, you'll see a link to join and become a member. It's only $5. And we do have a members-only live stream every week, every Tuesday after the market closes. And we got a bunch of members-only videos. We have a members-only Discord. And we have a lot of great members who have had some massive success and shared some incredible success stories with us. So I appreciate that. And that's the whole point of all of this. Today might have been a tough day for some, but inside of the big picture, I did want to come on and talk about and show some other things to show, like, no one day is the beginning and the be all end all. So
can you talk about Marathon for a second, Tom?
Sure.
I guess we just had some earnings on Marathon, and it doesn't look like it came in. I don't know what people are saying about it, but what do you anticipate Marathon doing in the future, just from before you even saw these? Just so you know, Tom's can I call you an old retired CPA? No.
Well, if you want,
auditor?
You can. Yeah,
what do you I
was a CPA in my former life. I was at then Coopers and Lybrand, now right. PricewaterhouseCoopers, and so that's how I started my career. So I have a background in making financial statements, reading financial statements. So those of you who are familiar with the channel, you'll know that, for all of these Bitcoin miners, I read these financial statements from cover to cover, management's discussion. When they do one, I listen to the conference calls, and, that's just one piece of the puzzle. But because that is my background, that's what I look at. And that's the reason I'm more of a long-term investor. That does not lend itself to day trading, but I do believe it lends itself to long-term investing. So that's the angle that I come at this with. I'm just going through these bullet points here. And so I haven't, this came out while we were on stream. I'll have to look into this. I do not see a single thing that they've mentioned that was any downward surprise. This is just a reiteration of, we get monthly updates from all these Bitcoin miners, and they're reasonably comprehensive. So I haven't seen a single thing in the press release that's anything different than what I would have expected. I'm looking for something in specific. I want to see if they talk about their pickup. Probably if I scroll down, we'll be able to find this. I'll look for that while we're talking. But I'm looking for one or two numbers in specific, but nothing here is surprising me at all. I will do, because they just put out their earnings, I will do another deep dive video on this, and we'll talk more about it. And, after I go through all the financials.
Tom, we haven't even gotten 500 likes. You would think on it today we would have got 500 likes. So I have a
Well, people are
question.
having a rough day.
What would be a good way to make a lot of money off of this downturn come first thing tomorrow morning on options on Marathon?
Well,
Because I love listening to you, but I really like making money too, Tom.
if you're bullish on
I'm
Marathon,
very bullish.
so if you're bullish and this persists, the other thing we always talk about is after hours trading, whether it be, after the market closes or before the market opens. Particularly, we've seen 2 days in a row where from pre-market to, an hour within market, we've seen 15, 20, 25% swings in some of these stocks, going from, gigantically green to, massively red. So there's when the institutional money has come in the last couple of days, they've had, a difference of opinion as to what retail investors are doing in pre-market and post-market. In any event, if this holds up, if everything is still red going into tomorrow and you are bullish, then you would be looking to buy call options. So the question is, how fast do you think these are going to recover? The shorter term, the option, obviously the much higher level of risk. Today is Wednesday, so tomorrow is Thursday. Buying options that expire on Friday is ultra high risk. So, if you think that we're going to recover tomorrow and the next day, I don't usually buy options that short term. Most people, even 1 month out is considered a very short term option. But, if you're looking to make that, if you're bullish, you would buy call options. If you are bearish, you would buy put options. And you also need to look at, and I'm not going to get too deep into the options conversation, but I do think it's important that everybody bear this one thing in mind if you're buying options. And I know some of you are more sophisticated and have option strategies, and some of them you sell covered calls. But if you're buying options, I would just caution you, and particularly on Marathon and Riot, and now Premium, or now Cleanspark as well. The premiums on these options are dramatic. So, try to calculate and understand, like, what size move does the company need to make for this option to get in the money? Just because you think Marathon's going up tomorrow, if there's a massive premium built into the option, you may realize that it's got to go up 16% just for you to break even. So, okay, I think it's going to have a great day, but they've taken your ability away. Now you can do a option spread and some other stuff. Again, I don't want to this is not an options thing. We're just talking, but
No, I was just talking about opportunities to make money on the big pullback on Marathon, or just buy the stock. By the way, I will tell you that I do hold Marathon and I do hold Bitcoin, and I think it's smart to have all of it.
yes, and you hold some other cryptocurrencies, I think, but those are your big positions. And particularly, I want to say welcome to a new member of the Talkin' Investing Squad, Neutral. Thank you very much for joining. I would check out in your spare time. There's about 6 or 7 deep dive videos we've done over the last 2 or 3 months on Bitcoin miners, on the smaller Bitcoin miners that, just don't have enough interest for me to do a video for the world. But, because we're most of our members are very interested in the Bitcoin miners, there's a bunch of those videos that I do think are worth a watch. I try to be very comprehensive on my deep dives. So welcome. Take advantage of that stuff. And
61223, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, this should, by all measures, we should be on here having a gigantic celebration day. And some of you probably are, if you're just holding the underlying cryptocurrency, then yes, this was another fantastic day. 3 massive up days in a row. And, I'm going to zoom out a little. This has been, the last 14 months have been just out of this world. If you go all the way back to December of 2020, well, this is January. If you go back to December where the bottom was, this is October just so we can see it, but we double bottomed basically right about here. So off of the bottom, we're up now just under 300%. So it's important to bear that in mind on, we are now up 300%. I think the majority of this move is still ahead. So I will do a poll price target. What do we think the new high is going to be in this bull run? I have a number in my head. I'd be interested. And, this is a part of sharing. Let's see what everybody else thinks. But just to understand, we're 300% into this run already. And just from this period of consolidation, this breakout from here, we're up almost 50% in a very short period of time. So we've had a lot of nice moves to the upside. And even with these, this very red day, if you can see these, the Bitcoin miners are very red. I'm just going to show you guys a couple of charts, if I might. Not this one.
I will say one thing. Whenever Fred freaking opens his mouth, that stock freaking plummets.
Oh. Are they doing their conference call? Let's
yeah,
see.
I mean, I'm just looking at the highlights of it now, but it just seems to be that way, doesn't it?
Let's see where. Oh, we're down almost 12% again. Oh, well, he's not the most dynamic individual.
126 Bitcoins on their balance sheet.
Yeah, and that was probably at December 31st. They have more than that now, and we're about to find out. Well, I don't know if they said in this release. Oftentimes in their press releases, they'll give you some up-to-date information. Although they'll probably wait for it. They're only 1 or 2 or 3 days away from their monthly operational update. So we'll find out how many Bitcoin they hodled in February if they didn't tell us in this press release.
Somebody said 40%. 40 exahash over this weekend. Marathon for some reason.
I see that, and I don't know. I don't understand that because they don't have that much capacity. So I know
you what they said.
Well, they're not wrong. I'll show you what they're looking at. If you go to the mempool for Marathon, you'll see.
You're gonna start geeking out here.
It's at one point, and this is saying 29, but up here at one point I did see 40 exahash, but they just simply don't even have 40 exahash. So I'm not sure. This part of this page I don't have as much confidence in. However, what I do look at is you can see, these are the actual blocks that they solved. And this ties back to, there's websites that show you every single block that everybody solves. So these two agree. So this is accurate. And you can see, after a rough patch in the middle of the month, they finished very strong. I mean, this was yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks mined yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 the day before. And then I think it was 8 or 9 the day. They had a 3-day run here that saved this month. February is going to be much better than I expected because the 5 or 6 or 7 days before that, they were having days where they mined 1 block, 2 blocks, and there were some reasons for that. And they did talk about them and put that out. I did do a video on that, but you can see once they got things back going, I mean, the last 3 days have been out of this world for these guys. So
in our small group. Thanks, Alex. Guys, if I don't get to your comments, they're really appreciative. We really appreciate it, Tom and I do. Even though if you don't hear me say something about it, I do appreciate everything you guys write, and even when it's not nice things. You guys, everybody cares about everybody in this little organization that we have together, and that's awesome, and I really appreciate that. Because all we're trying to do is make money. We're trying to take it from the rich hedge funds. So, sorry, just little.
We are, no matter how much money you may have, and I hope that you guys are all filthy rich, but we're still the little guys in this equation, right? When you've got, some of these companies with $9 trillion under management, $8 trillion, $5 trillion. I mean, there's an awful lot of money out there, and they're trying to grab. I'm getting requests. I have never blocked anybody ever in the history of this channel, but I have seen somebody that's just absolutely spamming the channel beyond belief. So I am, for the first time ever. Yeah, this is like the 50th just total spam comment. So
Oh,
we
I
don't
see
do
'em.
this, so I don't want everybody to say, oh, these guys block everybody. This is literally the
Block 'em,
first time
block 'em, block
ever
'em, block
that
'em.
we're ever going to block somebody. But enough is enough. It's just
Thanks,
a lot
Scott.
of
He said,
hate. So
George, you are the man. Thank you, buddy. No, yeah, you see, it's funny how time moves. I ended up like losing $1,000. I'm not talking about that. I love poor people, honestly. I
Scott
am a poor
Richardson, thanks
person.
for the super chat. Well,
We was just talking about how we bought it on Friday. I bought Riot on Friday, and then he came out with that ridiculous statement. I'm Jason, and I'm telling you guys, with Riot, this is what I think is going to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen, but this is what I have a feeling is going to happen. They went all in at one location. Here's the bad thing about having one location. If you have any type of weather event, it could take the whole thing out. Have you seen the weather in Texas lately, guys? It's been atrocious. So, FYI.
thanks for your support, guys, in the comments. I don't like banning people, or I've never deleted a comment in the comments section on
I
the
didn't even
YouTube
get to see what
channel.
he was saying.
It was just hate on CleanSpark. I mean, it was just, it was literally,
Oh, I
it
would
had to
have.
be at least 50 comments. They didn't even make any sense. It was just hate, 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 hate. So that's not helping
Well,
anybody.
I
We have
mean, I'm not. Listen, I mean, I understand.
I don't,
Eh,
there's a difference between making a thoughtful comment as to why you don't like a company and just spamming poop emojis time after time after time after time. So
I kind of like the poop emoji.
I know that you do. Well, I'll let you can spam, George. I won't block you.
I bet she's getting paid.
That
Uh,
person,
yeah, yeah.
somebody had an agenda. I mean, I don't know who's got that kind of time to waste. I would think, if you're here, you're trying to get
I
something
mean,
out of
it's
this, not
crazy to
just
think, guys, but that's really what happens. I mean, I wouldn't, you don't want to think this way because you want to think that, I don't even want to get going. Let's just realize this. People don't want you to win in this stock market game. I do. Tom does. But there's people out there that don't.
big
I don't
money
think it's
doesn't want you to win because they
right.
want to win,
Right. They want to
right?
win.
Well,
Every
I'm going to
time,
say you're saying they don't want some of your money; they want all your money.
all your money. Yep. Yep. I don't. I'm sick if I am shorting the market. I don't think shorting the market's the way to go personally, but maybe it's yours. There's some great stocks you can buy that short the market.
I'm always I'm on record. I'm always afraid to straight up literally. I will buy puts sometimes as protection. Sometimes if I think something's going to move down. But I don't straight up short anything just because so many companies that potentially companies that in my opinion are garbage. And companies where it's almost pretty much crystal clear they're going out of business. Is it 6 months from now, 2 years from now? It depends on what their cash runway is, but the market can do strange things, and I don't have the conviction to short something and dollar cost average into my short position to keep it covered if things are heading in the wrong direction for 3 months, 6 months, sometimes a year. So I am not, I'd rather play it the other way. Kevin K, thanks for the super chat. Kevin K said, you guys are such nice guys. Love it or not, CleanSpark is not a poop company. I mean, there's no question about it. CleanSpark,
Ironic poop.
I have CleanSpark. I'm on record. They are my number one ranked company in 2024. So I think
Jeff, here I want to answer. I'm going to answer Jeff. He said, "Why
go
was
ahead.
Jason's video weird, George? New machines, more uptime, the same others do, but not good for Riot. It because it was poor timing. I'll give you a great example. On this is how companies screw themselves. The day before, Jeff, they released saying there's chip shortage. There's chip shortage. chip shortage, chip shortage. Okay, the next
Inside of
day,
their company?
yes, that's the reason why they're going to have problems getting up to their exahash. The next day, they talked about how good everything was, how they're building this facility, they're, they got all these miners ready to go. So, you see, I dig deep into the details of what people are saying. I have another problem, Jeff. They lost, what was it, Tom? $70 million in hosting last year? Or is
Yes.
that the year? So $70 million.
Not that does not
I don't know about you, but
count.
that's a ton of money.
That doesn't count their allocation of their energy credits. That's just straight up from operations. They lost.
Right.
I want to take an absolute timeout. Clive Chang, thank you very much for the extremely generous super chat. And Clive has to say, as you've mentioned numerous times, investing in mining stocks isn't for the faint-hearted. I've witnessed my portfolio surge by $65,000 in one day, only to retrace $40,000 the next. This kind of volatility is anticipated as I stay the course with all my leap call options. Thank you. Those are words of wisdom. And Clive has given us several times, I don't know if it was in the members only section or on some of these general ones, Clive has kept us up to date on his leap options. And I know that, he's been doing very, very well. Now, obviously today, much like me, a lot of my portfolio went down today. But to Clive's point, as long as you're winning more than you're losing, and for me on my CleanSpark position, I'm not panicking or dumping. I'm still up over 400% overall in my CleanSpark position, and I'm not selling any of it anytime soon. So, yeah, but it does hurt. Don't get me wrong, to have it be, green at one point and look like it was going to run today on a day Bitcoin was up, to have it reverse and go down 13.5%, that is a painful day. But like Clive said, you gotta zoom out. You don't even have to zoom out to the 1 year, all you got to do is take one step back and go, hey, wait a second. I'm still up 200, 300, 400% on this position. So, okay, it pulled back 13% today. Is this a change in the nature of CleanSpark, right? Did things fundamentally change today? In my opinion, no. I don't think anything fundamentally changed for the Bitcoin miners at the top of my list, which there's 4 in particular. I think that there are times where they get beat up, though. And I want to try to find that list. But in the meantime, a couple of things to show you. So last year we had a 14-week period where the Bitcoin miners, every single one of the 19 that I follow, were down at least 40%, some of them 60 or 70%. Even with that 14-week period, by the end of the year, you can see these miners were up, 300, 400, 500, 600% on the year, right? If you're looking at CleanSpark was up 441%. Marathon was up 587% last year, right? Bitfarms 561%. So this is what I mean by zooming out. Now, this year, if we take a look, right now, this has been a tough run. We're in the middle of one of those runs. If I go through Friday, year to date, actually, I'm going to go a little further back because we're in the middle of one of these runs. As of last Friday, I'm counting the weeks because I did this in 2023. And again, we got to 14 weeks, which is brutal. This was 8.5 weeks. In this 8.5 week window of time, other than CleanSpark, by the way, which, somebody was saying is a garbage company, CleanSpark was the only Bitcoin miner outperforming Bitcoin as of last Friday. So, and with, today's pullback, that has reversed. So now there are now no Bitcoin miners outperforming Bitcoin. Some of these are down in this last 8.5 weeks, and this is just since December 27th. All the Bitcoin miners peaked on December 27th, and to be fair, there was a couple that were the 26th or the 28th, but in that plus or minus 1 day of December 27th, all these Bitcoin miners had a peak for the year 2023. You can see since then, you've got a bunch down in the 40s, 50s, 60% down. even these ones in the middle, like TerraWolf is a company I know a lot of people like. They were down coming into as of Friday, they were down 30% in this 8.5 weeks, which is essentially, these are not too different than year to date, right? This was just including 2 trading days from last year. Those 2 trading days were a disaster. So, but you can see like Bitfarms down 14%. Marathon, which I every time we do a poll, people love Marathon, and it's down 23% in this 8.5 week period when Bitcoin was up 17%. By the way, Bitcoin's up, a lot more than that. If I believe I updated this. Let me see if this worked.
AG, thanks for the super chat. Well said, Clive.
Oh, yeah. And thanks again, Clive. I appreciate you keeping us up to date. And also, that is a very generous super chat. It does help. We are a small channel, so those are very much appreciated.
So let me finish what I was saying about. Can I finish what I was saying?
Absolutely. Can I finish?
About Riot?
Absolutely.
Now listen, with Riot, so they lost $70 million on hosting, meaning that like they're hosting machines for other people to make money mining Bitcoin. I have a rough time with that. I have a rough time with they just reallocate. What was it? $750 million.
They did an at the market offering, another one for another
Right.
$750 million.
And they just closed out $700 million, Jeff. Okay, so to me that's I don't know, that's like $1.5 billion. That's a ton of freaking money, and I really got to get into understanding the details. Then here's the next problem: their exahash. Their exahash is not where I believe it should be. Fourth is when you start talking about things, I started going on their website and I started finding errors of the exahash that they said they were going to have in this plant versus what was written down. And I was just like, you guys, you're spending all this money. And I have a rough time with those little things like that because when you miss those little details like that, it just means you're missing a lot of things and you're doing things careless. Oh, wait a second. My hair's not combed. Sorry. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But
And
that's the reason why I'm like, now listen, probably Riot. I mean, we were talking about who's the third. We can argue that Cleanspark and Marathon's 1 and 2. We can argue who's 1 and who's 2, probably, right? But Riot
there
has
seems to be
pushed
consensus.
themselves way out of third place, and they used to be. They could used to be an argue 1 or 2. You know what I mean?
Riot, by
And
the
so,
way, for almost 10 months of 2023 was the largest market cap Bitcoin miner by market cap. And now they're not even close. George
I love
G,
that name.
thank you very much. Extremely
George.
generous. Thank you for the super chat. And George G said, I have a prediction, Bitcoin to 100K by the end of next month, but only if George gets on a haircut. Thank you, guys. All right, George, it's all on you. Haircut.
Yeah, okay,
I'll go with you.
One today. I was gonna get one today. Darren S. Riot prints shares faster than the Pred prints money.
Oh, that's saying something. That'd be a good race right there.
That's a lot of money, guys. That's just, and I'm sorry, I just have a rough time with them right now. And trust me, we were building out a nice position with them. I had tons of money into them.
And I will tell you guys, first of all, I want to say thanks again to George G. That is very generous and is very much
nice,
appreciated. I did not sell my position in Riot. I do have a big position in Riot. I've been very open about Riot. I have been critical about the things that I think they need to do a better job at, and I think there are a list of things they need to do a better job at. I'm waiting to see. We got a massive amount of information over the last couple of days on Riot. I'm digesting it. I feel a little bit better about it today than I did. I think it was only just yesterday. I was practically ranting about Riot. And they got a lot of execution that they need to do over the next, I'm going to say 3 to 6 months, because they've made, they're giving us deadlines. And so that's going to be the number one thing that I'm looking at. Do they start to hit their targets? And secondly, and more importantly, I don't care, if they get to 20 exahash, but they're still, not efficient and not, mining like they have 20 exahash, then that's going to be a deal breaker for me. So they need to start improving on their efficiency. They actually did make a small step in the right direction with efficiency in the month of January. I'd like to see them build on that in the month of February. And again, when they get to 20 exahash, they shouldn't have companies with less exahash mining a lot more Bitcoin. That means they're not doing what they should be doing. So, but again, that's an execution problem. Those things I think are fixable, but if they prove me wrong, then I'm going to have to rethink that investment. I have not yet. For George, it was a much newer investment, and he quickly didn't like what he saw and switched gears.
Well, so I should tell you this though, Tom. I did make money on Riot last year, and so I just got out. So it's not like I didn't make any money on it. My problem is when you do an at-the-shelf offering for another $750 billion or $1 million, it wasn't in the plans. It wasn't in the plans. It just all of a sudden. I mean, it probably was in the plans later. And then here's another problem I have with Riot, which Jeff, is that they're all in one location. And with the weather, dude, I'm telling you, watch. Remember this day on 2/28/24. I'm telling you, Riot's going to have issues. Something's going to happen with the weather. Weather's going to get super hot. They can't, and they need. So when you have in Texas, if you produce energy and it gets super hot, you can't run your machines. You have to pipe it out, and that's what people forget about this whole thing.
So the question
and the infrastructure. Hang on, the infrastructure that Texas has been proven to be unreliable when it comes to near capacity. So. I don't have a ton of money either, guys. You got to realize that. So if I had to take $50,000, I wouldn't be putting my $50,000 in Riot. I probably would be putting it into Bitcoin.
Well, yesterday we posted
61,235. Sorry.
Well, yeah, you're right, and I'm looking to add to my BitX position, which I seem to be the only person on earth left in that thing, it feels like. And I couldn't FOMO in today. I did have a plan. I've been dollar cost averaging in, and I've made it. If this is all I get, then I will be fine with that. But I did think I had more time, and I may continue to dollar cost average in because I don't think we're anywhere near the top. I think good things are ahead. I think this cycle is going to be a lot better than people are expecting and what a lot of people are talking about. This cycle has been talked to. Expectations have been lowered to the floor, in my opinion. And I think people are missing the big picture. Let me just go to this. This is you guys are probably familiar with this. This is the inflows of the Bitcoin ETFs since inception. So you'll see yesterday, another gigantic day, one of the biggest days, $576 million of inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs yesterday, 520 million, just under 520 million the day before. So this is why, to George's point, why are we going to have a pullback? With this kind of pressure day after day after day. Now, every day isn't necessarily going to be $500 million, but I think this trend continues. This puts a lot of additional demand pressure as they continue to buy this. Remember, these things are going to grow for years to come, in my opinion. So, every time they buy more, those Bitcoin are out of the supply. So, with the exception of Grayscale, obviously, which has a completely different situation, but even that situation has kind of gotten under control. I think a lot of the people who wanted out got out early, right? We saw the first couple of weeks, $500 million a day type stuff going on. That's reversed itself. And other than this brief period of time, I mean, it's just been a net inflow every day pretty much, with only a few rare exceptions. And this is just one thing. There's a lot of other money. There's a lot of other catalysts ahead. So as this continues to roll on, right, there's no doubt $576 million That's why we had a big green candle yesterday. We'll find out why we had one today, and who knows what it would have been if it didn't get interrupted.
Oh, and there's another thing too about Riot. I hate at the shelf offerings, those crap things. I hate that because I always feel like I'm competing with them to make money, and it pisses me off. Tom always tells me it's not rational, but it's just
I
sorry.
am I am a defender in the Bitcoin mining space, but I will put a caveat to this with Riot in a minute. These companies have to dilute, and they do dilute, and they will continue to dilute. So I always like to tell people, because it's the number one complaint in the comments in the chat, that people hate the stock dilution. Well, if you're a small cap high growth company and your industry is extremely capital intensive, you're going to dilute, right?
Right.
You're not borrowing money for these guys. Listen, they tried that last time around. The ones who didn't go out of business, a lot of them irreparably damaged their business to the point where they will never get, anywhere near what they hoped to. So that's kind of off the table. They don't generate enough cash from operations, even though most of these are cash flow positive, and a lot of them are generating a bunch of cash. But when these halving events come up, a lot of these companies are trying to double or triple their exahash. Well, that's a massive amount of infrastructure. That money has to come from somewhere. So I'm okay with that. It's a part of how these work. And I do try to tell people, and it's not argumentative, if you fundamentally don't like dilution, don't make
I just
yourself
don't.
crazy and invest in these stocks, because there's 100% chance you're going to get stock dilution. All of the Bitcoin mining companies at the top of this list, all of the larger market cap companies, have at the market shelf offerings open right now. So, and they've told us their plans. Now, is there a point where it's too much? Because the other part of that, the caveat to that, is they better be good stewards of what is essentially, as shareholders, our investments. So they need to be strategic about when they dilute, and they need to take that money and make it accretive to the company so that it's a bigger, better company that helps us, the retail investor, make money on our investment. So now, has Riot crossed a line with yet another $750 million at the market offering? I don't know yet, because by the same token, they're buying an astronomical amount of exahash, and they do build their own facilities. And they have two of the largest Bitcoin mining facilities in the world. So there's two sides to the equation. I will tell you, this last piece of the puzzle, I'm still digesting. I'm not sitting here and saying, "Oh, I'm so glad to see another $750 million." They just opened a $750 million one in 2023. They closed it. They used 700 million of that, closed it, and now they're doing another one. So yeah, it's something to keep our eye on for sure.
Jeff, probably when it's all said and done, in by the end of this year, I bet you Riot will actually probably be a good investment. It's just I only have so much money. You see what I mean? If I had maybe an extra, 100,000 or $200,000, then I would put it there. It's just if I got limited funds right now. And I just hate it when they do these dilutions.
And you're not alone, George. This is a part of making investment decisions. Has something, one of the things we always talk about, has something changed, right? You have
Right,
a plan
right.
for your investment. Has something changed? Well, I'd call $750 million something
Some
changing.
change, right? And I will tell you the other thing. I'm almost I have basically three stocks now, and I'm not really going to touch them until they go to where I want them to go. Marathon, Bitfarms, and Cleanspark. Now there is something I'm going to do in a month, and we're probably going to do it not as not exactly a month. It'll probably be 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks away from now. That I think will be a very good decision in this space because we kind of know this space really well. Now, guys, what we need is your help We need to figure out what's going to be the next industry that's going to pump. That's what we need to help. We need to figure this out. So,
as money rotates,
please,
which
yeah.
it does, where is it going next? That's what we're always trying to, right? We're in the middle of this investment, by no means done, but you always got to be thinking about what's next.
Hang on, I have to ask one more thing. Jeff, are you the other Jeff and that you changed your name? If you are, let me know, because we were wondering where he was.
Grocery store Jeff.
Yeah, grocery store Jeff. I'm just curious. Maybe that's him. Because we were like, what happened to him? The dog's barking. The New York enemy's coming out. Sorry.
So to answer two questions from a long time ago that I saw pass, it is hard to keep up with the chat. Sorry, guys. So I do my best.
Oh, no, sir. Okay. Does anybody know him? Because I wonder what happened to him. I mean, it's funny. Like, he was so involved in our stream. I just wonder what happened to him. If he's
he was with us on the channel for years and years, as a lot of the names that I see in the chat right now. A lot of you guys have been with us for a long time, so much appreciated.
Buy a dip. Yeah, I mean, hey.
Somebody said your voice is low, George. I don't know if they mean low. Like,
yeah, he means he can't hear me. I was screaming earlier, Abe, and I'm not screaming anymore. My voice is getting hoarse. Excuse me.
So somebody asked me two different questions, and they've long since passed. So if you're gone, sorry, I'll just answer to everybody else. One person asked me, did I buy anything today? And another person asked me, did I regret getting out of Iris Energy? I was very adamant and talked about it when they came out with their $500 million at the market offering, which was 6 or 8 months ago now, probably. I don't know. Time flies. At that time, they were a $200 million company with a $500 million at the market offering. I felt very strongly they were going to have a big pullback in their stock as a result of that. They did have a big pullback, but so did everybody else at the same time. So I'm not sure, that one thing had anything to do with the other. I did start building out a position again in Iris Energy. It's my smallest of all my Bitcoin mining positions, and I did add to it today. It's the only thing that I bought today, and I bought it early. Iris started to move down pretty much before everything else did. So I jumped in. It ended up down 10.5%. It was down maybe 5% when I got it. So I didn't catch the bottom. And listen, it may go down. This might not be done. That's the other thing that I really wanted to kind of get on here and say is, don't be freaked out if there's a little bit of a pullback even as Bitcoin's running. We may be in another one of these windows of time where the Bitcoin miners have a pullback. But I'm going to go back to this chart because somebody else just asked a few minutes ago, if these aren't sorry, that's not it. Where'd it go? Somebody said, if these aren't a leveraged play anymore, why bother investing in them at all? And my answer to that is, while nothing is certain, and we don't know the answer to that, if you had asked that question in August or September or October of 2023, you would have asked the same question and said, these are underperforming Bitcoin. Why not just be in Bitcoin? But by the end of the year, while Bitcoin had a phenomenal 2023, up 154%, you can see the Bitcoin miners destroyed Bitcoin. So is that a guarantee they're going to do that again in 2024 and 2025? Not necessarily. But they typically over time tend to, respond 2 or 3 times what Bitcoin does. And that goes in both directions, right? During the crypto winter, a lot of these were down. Every single Bitcoin miner of the 19 that we follow, the best one was down 91% from their highs in November of 2021. That was the best one. There were several down 99%. So, that's the hard part. You get this action in both directions. Now, at the moment, I understand the sentiment. Hey, wait a second. We're taking the extra risk, which is for sure, and we're not getting the reward right now. And for this window of time, that is true. So if you just got in, if you just got in 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago, at the moment, you're feeling the pain even worse because you didn't get that. I should just left that a minute too soon. You didn't get these 400, 500, 600% run up. So for those of us that caught this run, the fact that it's taking a little breather is a little easier to stomach. Although I will tell you, like I started out with this stream, it's no fun. I don't care who you are. Your biggest position in your portfolio being down 13.5% is not a great
Did I
day.
lose you? Oh.
Darren, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much. Darren said, year to date, Riot has issued greater than 500,000 shares per trading day.
Trading day.
In the meantime, CleanSpark hasn't issued shares since Q3 last year, and all but the T21 machines are paid for. So CleanSpark's done a lot less. I do think I think I read they issued, I checked this the other night. I think they've issued 12 million shares in 2024. But to your point, it's a very small fraction of what Riot has done. Riot is diluting now, Marathon's done a massive amount of stock dilution over time, but I'm sorry, not Marathon, CleanSpark. CleanSpark's done a lot of stock dilution, probably more than anybody as a percent of their stock. By the same token, they've gotten themselves from 2 exahash. They're looking to get to, 30 something exahash. So, if you're 15xing the size of your business, you're going to go through some stock dilution. That's what I'm looking for versus Riot, which was at 12.4 exahash a year ago, except some of it didn't work. And now they're still at 12.4 exahash. So we need to see that next push from Riot. They need to run to 20 exahash. And then, they talked about getting to now, I think 31 is their target by the end of this year. So if they don't do those things with this massive amount of dilution that Darren's talking about, then it will have all been for nothing. And, that would definitely be, for me, this was not, I'm starting to question my investment there. And I am up on the investment. I'm not bailing on it right now, but I got a lot more question marks than I had previously. This is all taking a lot longer and they're making a lot less progress than I expected. Also, please, none of this is financial advice. Just because that's how I feel or that's how George feels or whoever in the comment section, everybody, please do your own due diligence. Like we talked about, if you don't have conviction in your own stock, you can't borrow somebody else's conviction in a stock. It just doesn't work. And days like today are the days that it doesn't work, right? If you bought Bitfarms because you heard somebody say it was going to the moon and now it's down 10.73% today, you're likely to bail. So I know not everybody has time to spend forever, on reading financial statements cover to cover, but get to a level of your own level of comfort where your investment and you feel good about it on the good days. And, even I don't feel great about CleanSpark or Riot or Bitfarms. Or Marathon. Those are my 4 biggest. Marathon I felt good about until after hours. I will read this report. I think this is likely just the market being the market. Maybe Marathon held on a little bit today in anticipation, and this is just a sell the news situation. All this really does, if you take regular hours and after hours, they're down 5.5%. That still puts them ahead of almost all their other peers on the day today. So I do not think this is a reflection of a bad report. Having said that, all I did was read the Cliff's Notes in this press release here on the stream. So I have not done my complete due diligence here. So I will do that and I will make a video on it. But so far, no surprises. And, unless anybody can drop in the comments anything that they heard that was a surprise.
No surprise. I think that, I'm hoping, Steven, massive pump in miners tomorrow.
Right. This is the thing. It's a roller coaster ride. And that was back what Clive was talking about. If you're not ready for the volatility, then that's another thing. If
Scott, you just hit another nail on the head for me. CleanSpark. I brought CleanSpark because of this channel, and George was going to see the company. I did go in it. I spoke very highly of it, and the CleanSpark keeps the communication line open to us. If we need to know something about CleanSpark, we're a phone call away to get it, guys. That's another reason it's good to be a member of this channel too. By the way, number two is Riot has like crickets. There's just nobody even trying to sell the company. Like they forget that they're a publicly traded company and that we're out talking to the public.
Right. They
So
don't have a product to sell
right,
to the masses. We are their,
right,
their
audience.
audience.
Yeah. So
I agree. I agree with
yeah,
that, George.
yeah. I mean that, and that's just like I know his name, Isaac. It's not like we're talking to the CEO of CleanSpark all the time, but he does come on the channel.
Right. And they're very open. They're very transparent. So, that's and I think Marathon's made a lot of progress. I know Fred may not be the great communicator of all time, but I think as a company, they've made a lot of progress on being a lot more transparent.
And here's the next one. I'll tell you. Ready? Snapchat's market value is $18.15 billion. Do you think the whole Bitcoin mining industry is less than $18.15 billion? I guarantee it. It,
Uh I mean, there was
it
a time we did some of this. It's a lot
we're,
more than it was.
it's good.
It's up
It's gonna
five or
be
600%. Remember in the last
right.
year.
I know, but it's gonna be real close to that. How about that? To me, it's better to allocate your risk over the Bitcoin miners than to put it in Snapchat.
Well, especially I did do a little bit of a dive on Snapchat the other day, and I came up empty, in my opinion. Not financial advice.
What's your Snapchat, Tom?
Uh, I'm
Hey
not
now.
on Snapchat. I did a deep dive
Oh,
on the stock.
yeah. Okay. I did a deep dive on Snapchat, huh?
Great,
Okay, Tom.
very,
Great.
very nice.
Well, that's a good time to probably end it, don't you think? Oh my goodness gracious. Pull up Bitcoin.
Oh, I know. You're right. Oh, I was just on the 15-minute. Bitcoin is pumping. We're just under 62,000. So we should take, thank you, George, for bringing that up. Let's not forget the fact, okay, it was a rough day with the Bitcoin miners, but Bitcoin had a third phenomenal day in a row. This is a breakout. We're getting very near Bitcoin's all-time high. Every I'm hoping that in whether it's a day from now or a week from now or a month from now, this day will be long since forgotten as far as the Bitcoin miner side of this day. And what is more important, as Bitcoin forges ahead to higher and higher numbers, what's good for Bitcoin's good for the Bitcoin miners. So ultimately, in the past, these have always a reversion to the mean, if you will. The Bitcoin miners will return to a more normal price action versus Bitcoin if they act like they've acted in the past. So obviously, the future is unknown, but that is what has always happened in the past. So on these, whether this is a down day, it's a down couple of days, even if it continues a little bit, I bought a tiny little bit today because my position in Iris is very small. If we have some more pullback, I thought I was kind of done buying, but if Bitcoin's going to run up and the Bitcoin miners are going to run down, I may start dollar cost averaging into a couple of things that there are several that my position is just full, period. I don't care what happens. I'm not buying anymore. But there are a few where, if I get the chance, I'll take it. That's my personal opinion.
I got one. A few people asked price target for Marathon this time next year, and same with CleanSpark. Again, this is just Tom's decision, not financial advice. Go.
I'm going to answer these questions, and it's just, these are brutal. But I mean, if you're not, I'm going to be super conservative and say, CleanSpark got to $23.60 or something like that at the peak of the last halving. That's not their all-time high as a company. Earlier in the year, they got to $40 in 2021. They weren't even really a Bitcoin mining company, but just based on their growth and what's ahead, I do expect, I expect a triple out of CleanSpark. So, mid 50s. I mean, 50 plus for CleanSpark, and 80 to 100 for Marathon. That would be my expectation.
What
And
about
honestly,
Bitfarms?
my number inside my head is higher than that, but I'm not going to sit here and say, if Marathon doesn't get to 150, I'm going to be disappointed. If Marathon, goes from 30 to 70, that'll still probably be one of the best investments in my portfolio. So I'm not going to cry about that either. I think it'll do better than that, in my opinion. Right? $83 and change was its previous high. So, that's a high
That's.
benchmark, but I think it'll get back there. What about you, George?
I think where I was at, I have an exact number of when I'm selling Marathon. It's $82.15 is my number. It's crazy.
82.15.
82.15 is my number. I'm not touching it until then. I might buy more actually. And I did in the by the way the 10K challenge. It went down $1,000. Right, 7,500. But I bought 2 shares of Marathon just now.
2 shares. We'll take it.
That's all we had. That's all the money we had.
We were up to almost 9,000, but the Bitcoin miners are getting beat up. But I will hold out to you guys. I remain confident that, the Bitcoin miners will play catch up. I don't know what the time frame is. I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow. It could get worse before it gets better. That's a lot of times the way this happens. But I will remain focused on, let's keep seeing Bitcoin do what it's doing. And ultimately, that should be good for all things Bitcoin and cryptocurrency related.
I got one. 62. Barry just said it too. 62. Tom, sorry I'm late. What's
62,000.
PCE tomorrow? Sorry, I'm bringing up FUD. What I don't know what that means.
I don't think it's going to have a big, and I keep being wrong about all these indicators, but I don't think it's going to have a big impact. And I do think I'm looking more at next month's inflation numbers. I think are going to be a pleasant surprise. I think everybody got scared, and we've now moved into this world where, now people don't even think there's going to be rate cuts in May of this year. I think that trend is going to reverse itself. A month and a half ago, the opposite was true. So I think a month and a half from now, we're going to be back in a world where we're going to get our rate cuts this year, in my opinion. I feel very strongly about that. There's other reasons why the Fed's, it's going to be important for the Fed to start cutting rates. So is it going to be in March? It looks like, it's almost certainly not going to be in March. But I think it will be in May. And, whether it's a little bit later than we expected, I think we'll get our rate cuts. I think we'll get quantitative easing. I think they're going to have to push some money into the market. And
oh my goodness.
And all of that are other catalysts for Bitcoin. And to me, why I'm taking a look at some of the small caps, the Russell 2000, which I know somebody pointed out, technically that's mid cap stocks. I think they really need to, as a totally random aside, the definition of small cap, mid cap, and large cap is now so outdated, it doesn't make any sense anymore, right? A $3 billion company is not a mid cap company anymore. There's companies 1,000 times bigger than that. So I just feel like maybe that can be our mission. Somebody needs to refresh those. Times have changed. The market's 10 times what it was when they created those definitions. So in any event, the small to mid cap stocks, the Russell 2000 type stocks, I think are going to have a great year. It's not happening quite yet, and it may still be a little early. And that goes to George's question, what's next?
62,361.
Yeah, Bitcoin is running. Are the Bitcoin
Don't
miners
get
making
nervous, guys.
anything after hours here? Let's go.
Don't get nervous if Coinbase has a problem again.
So Cleanspark's up almost 4% after hours. And again, I'm the one who says after hours doesn't necessarily mean anything, but
Dude, this is awesome.
let's see. Let's just take a look at a few of the Bitfarms up 2.6%. We know Marathon's reacting to I don't even think it's to earnings, just to the fact that they outperformed on the day. Not much action in Riot. No surprise. What else? We'll just take a look at one or two. And then you're right, George. We should probably wrap it up. TerraWolf up just a little bit. Cypher for those who are interested. Not huge action after hours. It looks like Cleanspark's the one that's running after hours the most by far.
60. If we're getting ready to hit 62.5.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, they're gonna shut it down again, guys. Look at this line. Look at it. It's just straight up.
So when we
that
go
means
back
they're
to
buying again. They're buying again.
If we go back to, this is the weekly. Let me get back to the 1 day. If we get back to the daily candle, I mean, out of the 3 days, this is the best one yet. And we are now. So I think it's fair to say we're going to have our first daily candle close over $60,000 since November of 2021. And
news, dude.
And it's not just going to be over 60,000. It's going to be way over.
62,556. It's running, guys. It is freaking running.
Bitcoin's up 20+% in the last 3 days. So let's see if Bitcoin can keep running. Let's see if sooner than later.
No one got my story. We never got to 1,000, guys.
Well,
it's a good story.
We did have a great day and a great stream. I hope you guys aren't too disturbed.
5-6. Isn't that funny? It's so funny because I say these things and you can see the pattern. The 5-6 o'clock pump is real. It seems to be when they're buying. It's been every time on Fridays and when we're doing our stream on Tuesday, it seems to always happen. And the only time I worry is the Asian markets. It's like 9. It's like 8:39, 10 o'clock. I'm always worried about that one.
Well, lately, that's been a good thing. Everything, I mean, it's just been up. So let's see if we can keep going, right? We got some great momentum.
I just love reading the comments, guys, just so you know.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on what was a out of this world great day for Bitcoin, a not good day for the Bitcoin miners. So hopefully, everybody's digested the day. Have a fantastic night, everybody. George, thanks for taking all this time.
This was a lot of fun, guys. Hope you guys had as much fun as I had. It was a lot of fun, guys.
If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're interested. And you can smash the like button on the way out if you would be so kind. Everybody have a great night. We do our regularly scheduled live stream every Friday after the market closes. So hopefully we will see you guys then with a lot more green. So have a great couple of days and have a good night.